620 Live, that we may all speak boldly. We wish you a very Merry Christmas. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Revelation chapter 14, verse 13. Let's start off by looking at the prior verse here, which is Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Now, verse 12 is basically a reminder for the saints during the tribulation to keep the commandments of God. What we need to understand with this is, I've mentioned it before how bad the world is now, but whenever the tribulation is taking place, it's going to be exponentially worse than even what it is right now. So as bad as you think it is, or as bad as you know it is, it's going to be even worse then. And we would need the reminders because we need them in today's society of, God and to keep the commandments and to follow Him, because it helps us, stay grounded and to remember who is in control when the world seems chaotic, full of chaos, which is a lack of control. But, we know that God is, in fact, in control. Just as the reminder of, God is there for us, and helping us, it's also going to remind them and to help them, to comfort them during such stressful times. We stress out often, because a bill is coming due and you're going to, wonder where the money is coming from. Or, say your oven's element goes out and you've got a big Thanksgiving dinner or a big Christmas dinner or a big get-together coming up. You worry about how you're going to, handle that particular thing. Those may be stress, and likely are for everybody, but the tribulation time is going to be a lot more stressful than even that, and the reminder, like I said, of God being in control and protecting us and strengthening us and guiding us is helpful and will be helpful to them as well. Now, the saints during this time are going to be shunned because there's going to be all kinds of different explanations of the reason that things have happened, and I can't give you like a exhaustive list because people can come up with all kinds of different things and different reasonings and, quote unquote, explanations of the reason that things have happened. But we know what the truth is, and that, the rapture has taken place. And yes, I know, and I will probably say this every time I say that word, it is not in the Bible. I understand that, but we will know that, God is the reasoning behind, all of this and everything that is going on, that it is the plan that has been in effect for longer than any of us have been alive. The saints during this time that are preaching, the gospel and telling others about Jesus are going to be shunned. And, we can see that in society nowadays where, Christians are shunned because of their beliefs and how they, act. Someone who gets saved doesn't go out and party anymore the way they used to in their pre-salvation life, and they'll get shunned by the friends that continue to party and do things like that. You know, but these different factions during this tribulation period are going to have an effort of tolerance. The political power, the governing power of the time, are going to basically tolerate the Christians, because they're going to be tolerating all other religions as well. And, they're going to lump Christianity in there. And what I mean by this, I'm coming up with religions off the top of my head here. It's not in my notes. But the governing powers are going to tolerate the Buddhists. They're going to tolerate Christians. They're going to tolerate those that worship Scientology. They're going to tolerate those that worship auras, or those that worship other idols. They're going to tolerate those. Lumping everyone in there until the one world religion comes into play. But eventually during the tribulation period, it's going to get worse and worse on the Christians, where, like in the Left Behind series, they begin, to blame Christians for things that are going on. And the Christians, those that are preaching the gospel of Jesus anyway, they will continue preaching the gospel of Jesus even after, they are told to stop, to the point to where, they will be put to death for their beliefs, whenever, it comes down to taking the mark of the beast, or, being beheaded. They will take the beheading and death because, death here on earth, means in heaven with Jesus. So it will get to that point, which, seems kind of far-fetched, at one point in history, but, in all honesty and actuality, it's really not that, far removed from today's society, because we can see in other worlds, or not other worlds, other nations, where there are martyrs for Christ because of, the political views of, the different nations of the world. This stands as a good reminder, like I was just saying, that the world we live in nowadays is harsh. And all of us need the encouragement that we can see here, throughout the whole Bible. I'm not saying there's not encouragement throughout the whole Bible, because there is, but, there's a lot of encouragement here in Revelation as well. Like I've said before, we know the end of the book, we know who is victorious, but, also seeing the wicked of the world who have gotten their way for years upon years and time upon time upon time again, we see in Revelation that they finally get what's coming to them. The promise of, God is coming true here. It's very difficult, at least for me, from time to time in this world, when things seem to, be getting you down, whether it's a physical injury, or, you're going through, say, a depressing time, or, you're having some emotional trouble, and it's rough, not only on your body physically, but emotionally, and, all of it, begins to wear you down, and you get to the point of where you get discouraged, you know, from day to day. And I'm not saying it happens every day, and I'm not saying that it happens, to everyone all of the time. But even the most upbeat person will, go through despair or discouraging times, And unfortunately, some people deal, with what I think is called like chronic depression, where they're, depressed all of the time. And I truly hate that for them, because I can only imagine what it, is like, because I know whenever I go through, the periods in my life that, depress me, how bad and how sad and all that I feel. And to live like that all of the time is, got to be one of the harshest things that there is. And that's why we need to, lift these people up in prayer that suffer through this. Which, brings me to the point that this verse will encourage us with that. But, we need every bit of encouragement that we can get. You know, say that, let me see if I can give you a good example here. Say that I'm going through a depressing time, you know, no matter what happens. Say I'm going through a depressing time, and I call, my best friend and get him to pray for me, you know, um, ask him to pray for me, and not to, I can tell him what's going on, and, ask him to ask people to pray, just not tell everybody what's going on. It's a whole snowball effect that it rolls, and it continues building upon, layer upon layer upon layer of people praying for you, and praying for the healing, praying the encouragement that you need to get through it, and it it helps you get through that time. Surrounding yourself with good Christian people help get you through times like that. They've helped me, and I'm sure that they've helped you that, are listening, because life is not easy. You know, whether you're a Christian or not, life is not easy. And it's even harder whenever you are a Christian, because of the persecution, because of the judgment, because of, everything else that's going on. People judge you. People judge people, period. So it's not easy. And, you know, none of us, during this, time frame, as well as during the tribulation, none of them will be able to take the beast on by themselves. None of us can resist, Satan by ourselves, which is why we need to surround ourselves with good Christian people. Open the Bible, read it. It's a book of encouragement. And something else that we need to look at here with the tribulation aspect of this, and living during that time, and resisting the beast, is, like I mentioned, a little bit earlier, it's going to be harsh, and it's going to be to the point of where you take the mark of the beast, or you take death. And like in the Left Behind series, they, used the guillotine and beheaded the people. I'm not, I don't want to say that's what they're going to do during this time period. They may, because it is gruesome, and I, believe that the powers during that time will be going for the, shock effect. And, that's a good way to bring people over to their side, is, look what happens. You will suffer this gruesome death if you do not follow us and take the mark. But I also believe, there's probably going to be shooting. You see them and they don't take it, shoot you in the head. They're going to make a spectacle of it. I do believe. But either way, resisting the beast during the tribulation is going to result in death. But like I said earlier, also, that death will be their victory as well, because they will leave this earth and, will wake up, or, immediately be in heaven. Um, Jesus he's always with, he sent us a helper in the form of the Holy Spirit, which is part of the, triumvirate, the triune God, the Holy Trinity in the Holy Spirit. And that that is our encouragement and you know our our help. It helps us continue going on. It helps to guide us, to strengthen us, to comfort us, to to be there for us. And looking at Philippians 4:13, the verse states that I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. And that's never more true than, when you have people praying for you, praying for that help, for that strength, for that comfort, for, whatever it is that you need. And yes, you can do all things through Christ, you know, and that will help us. It will help you to know that Christ is with you. And while I'm saying, that we need that strength, and we do, the tribulation saints, living during that time period, are going to need that help as well, that strength as well. Anywhere from 50,000 to 90,000 people are killed each year because of their faith. Now, the word martyred, is used a lot. Some people may not understand what it means, and, you know, but still, look at that staggering number. 50,000 to 90,000 people are martyred or killed for their faith each year. 50,000 to 90,000. That is a lot of people. Now, while that is extremely, to me, it's extremely shocking and, you know, um, hurts my heart, we can look at that number and see encouragement in this. And let me explain that, because if you look at it from this point of view, it's very encouraging. Let's look at it, the 50,000 to 90,000 people that are martyred are 50,000 to 90,000 people that were steadfast in their faith, in their belief of Jesus, in the trusting of Jesus. I personally take a lot of encouragement from that. You know, if someone were to put it to you of denounce Jesus and live, or continue in your belief, in your steadfastness, in your words of Jesus, and you're going to die. That's extremely, and how can I say this? It really puts your faith on display. Either yes, you are firmly in the faith, and to describe it, you tilt your chin up, exposing your throat, saying, "Go ahead, kill me, because I'm not denouncing Jesus." Or you're either lifting your chin and saying that I'm not going to denounce Jesus, or you're going to lower your chin in shame and denounce Jesus. You know, it really it's that reality check, or that spiritual check there. And you'll probably hear me talk a lot about the Left Behind series, because it's one of my favorite series. And I know it's fictionalized of the tribulation period, but I still just I like it. You know, really enjoyed the majority of the books there. But I'm reminded of this scene, and it's where the women are in prison, and they're singing and praising God. And a couple of them that were standing by watching received Christ, and the marks appeared on their forehead, the marks of the believer. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but it's a man's wife who is spreading the word. I believe it's in the scene where they're in the prison of Greece. And they tell them to quit singing, but yet they continue on, and they basically beat the tar out of this woman. I can't remember if it's with a nightstick or something else like that, but they bust out her teeth, break her nose or bust her nose, and she's spits out like teeth, but yet she does not denounce Jesus, and she continues praising God. And again, I know for the people out there that are going to say, well, that's fictionalized, that's not going to happen. No, that specific scene is not going to happen with those specific people, but I do believe there's going to be scenes very similar to that during the tribulation, where people's faith is so extremely strong and grounded in God that they will be tortured and beaten and bloodied, and all of that, and yet they will not even come close to denouncing Jesus. If anything, I believe they're going to get louder in proclaiming Jesus. You know, the the fact that there's going to be people out there like that encourages me, and I'm hoping that it encourages you as well. But I do believe that Philippians 4:13, while it's a favorite verse of many people, I believe it's going to be a steadfast verse during the tribulation period, because it's going to be our go-to verse, because we can look at that, and just in reading it or just in hearing it, it seems to not revivify your faith, but it seems to you know uh, sturdy it up, to help it, to lift it up, to brace it for the impacts that the world is, and the beast in general are going to throw against it. You know, want to look at the part of the verse here where it says the voice from heaven, and I'm putting that in air quotes, even though I know you can't see it. So I'm going to tell you the voice from heaven is in quotes here. What this specifically means is that the voice is coming from heaven, comes directly from heaven. And while it, some people may look at it like, well, it's probably just in his head, regardless of whether you want to say John is during this time, whether he is physically in heaven seeing all of this, whether he is spiritually heaven seeing all this, where all of this is taking place in his mind, you know, whether he is sitting on the beach on the island of Patmos, whether he's sitting in a cabin, or whatever, wherever John is when this is taking place, this speaking from heaven, this voice from heaven You know, it is coming from heaven, regardless of whether he is wherever he is or whatever he is doing. He is still getting this voice from heaven. And what that actually does for this is giving the things that John is going to write, everything that he's going to say, that he sees and does, it gives it certain truth. It gives it credence. You know, it lends a certain level of truth to it, because there's no part in the Bible that is a lie. God does not lie. He cannot lie, because lying is a sin, and God is holy, holy, holy. But something else that this, when it says it comes from heaven, what it also does is it displays the fact that God's holy power is behind this, that it is empowering this. And, that it, again, like I said, it gives it credence. It's the ultimate authority here. The writing part of this is instructing John that he needs to write these things down, for his reference, for his remembrance, for the people that he's telling this to, so that they can read it and see it. And a lot of people want to think that it's just for the churches of Asia Minor that he is writing to, but in all actuality and fact, he's writing it to them, but he's also writing it to us as well, and everybody that has been alive between those churches and writing until now, and on past this day and time that we live in now, to however many years it is until Jesus comes back to put down his eternal kingdom. Because when the tribulation takes place, the rapture takes place, and then the tribulation, the book of Revelation is still going to be in the Bible. It's not going to magically just disappear because this has happened. They're going to use this as a guidebook in the guidebook of life, to put it in a way. But John is told to write this to preserve it, to have it for everybody to go back and reference it. And like I said earlier here, that many may find the book of Revelation to be depressing, but we need to take it, and this reason behind these this series that I'm doing here, the seven blessings of Revelation, is because these blessings, this book of Revelation, is uplifting and encouraging to us. Hey, I'd like to take this time to invite you to Sparks First Baptist in Sparks, Georgia, where services start on Sunday at 10:30 a.m., on Sunday night at 6 p.m., and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you stop by and worship with us. Thank you for checking out 620 Life Podcast. We ask that you please like, share, subscribe, rate, and review. Be sure to tell everybody about us.